Welcome to Life Recovery Today, brought to you by New Life. If you're feeling stuck in addiction, grief, anxiety, or broken relationships, you're not alone. Over the next half hour, you'll discover practical tools and biblical truth from the 12 steps of life recovery, designed to help you heal, grow, and thrive. Because recovery isn't just about what you're giving up, it's about who you're becoming. Whether you're new to recovery or looking to go deeper, we have resources to guide you. Bibles, workbooks, devotionals, and real stories of transformation. You can start your journey today on your own, in a group, or through your church. Visit newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to take the next step. This is your time for healing, hope, and freedom. This is Life Recovery Today.
Hi there. Welcome to Life Recovery Today. Steve Arterburn here. So glad you've joined me. I was just looking over one of these little resources from the Life Recovery series, and you know, there's so many more resources than just the Bible, but there's the 12 laws of life recovery. And one of the laws is the law of surrender. And the Bible tells us that if we'll humble ourselves, God is going to lift us up. And the gift of surrender is that it leads to victory. I mean, it's a law. You surrender, you get to win. You keep trying harder on your own, you get to lose. Well, you know, a lot of times when we talk about addiction or recovery, people think it's all about drugs, alcohol, things like that. But there's another challenge, and it's a challenge that I had. It's the food challenge. Recovering from a food dependency, food overeating, or just simply having an addiction. I didn't realize there was an addiction till I started working with other people, and I came to understand that sugar can literally be an addiction. Well, I want you to hear a talk I gave. In this first segment, I want to share how we begin recovery in the area of food dependency and food addiction. Now, you may think that this is going to be about some diet plan, and it really isn't about a diet plan. In fact, so much of Lose It for Life has nothing to do with food whatsoever. But what it is about, it's more about recovering your life. You know, if I eat out of boredom, there's something I can do about boredom. I can go do the things I'm afraid of doing. I can find a way, and then I'm not bored, and then I'm not eating. If I'm anxious and I eat as an anxious person, there's a way to deal with anxiety. If I'm depressed and I eat to comfort myself, every one of those things where I use food as my choice of medication, let's go change the thing, or as we call it, the it, and then we have no need to overeat. So, let's listen in as I talk about food. Just finished this little letter O. Now I want to tell you something. There were two words that I didn't like when I was growing up. One was obey, but that's not what we're talking about here. But I didn't like to obey. I hated that word. But the other one was obese. So I want to talk to you about obesity as we're going through the alphabet here. Go to O, and it just came up. Obesity. I just got back from my, count 'em, 50th class reunion. And it was so great to be with all these people. And one of the things that I observed after 50 years, I hadn't seen anybody, well, there were a couple, but most I hadn't seen in probably 45 years because I went to the 5th year reunion. But nobody really changes. Dave Stoop used to say that to me. You know, people change, but they don't really change. And it was fascinating to see how much alike everybody still was. One thing that was different, though, was the average weight of everybody there. I have to believe the average weight gain after 50 years must have been around 10, 15, maybe 20 pounds. What a sad thing, because man, we need everything we can get going for us during this day of massive dementia and Alzheimer's and all of that. And there's nothing worse and a bunch of clogged arteries from obese living. And when I talk about obese living, I mean everything in excess. And when it comes to food, obesity, well, there's morbid obesity. We know what that's all about. That's that 400, 500 pound extreme person. But that you don't have to be 400 pounds to be morbidly obese, which means you're going to die. You are going to die from this. But obesity in general is not just being a couple of pounds overweight or 10 pounds overweight. It means you have a problem with weight. Now, why? Well, I think there are a lot of different reasons that we can end up here. Number one, stupidity can be one. I gained so much weight when I was younger because I would sit in front of the television set eating, we had cans of potato chips. I might eat a fourth of a can of potato chips sitting in front of the television set. I had no idea that that's what made you fat. I did not know that. Okay, so I know a lot of people never learn that high fructose corn syrup stuff makes you fat. That when you eat anything that's white, like potatoes, flour, icing on a cake, it just turns to the white sugar that they're in the body. So why? We can be unaware, but we also can be medicating something that's very hurtful and very deep, and we use food to do it. It's what I did it all the time. There's another reason, is that we can have kind of a normal diet, but we never exercise. We never get the body moving. The metabolism stays very low, and so just through inactivity, maybe we're not taking in a ton of calories, but we're not burning them either. So we have to look at everything as to the why. Now, if my why is that I was deprived as a child of many things and I live in this scarcity mentality, maybe I'm eating because I'm afraid I'm going to go hungry. I don't even know that I'm doing this, but unconsciously, maybe I'm afraid of starving to death, literally. So once I start to deal with the wound that's there, this deprivation that I feel, or maybe I don't feel it, but it's there, then I don't have a need to compensate or overcompensate with food. Maybe I'm just hurting. I have a wonderful relative who had a heart attack recently, and she said with the loss of her husband, she started eating little Bluebell ice cream cartons at night as a way to comfort herself. It was her only friend. I know what it's like to only have food as the source of comfort, but it's not really your friend. It's more like a personality disordered friend. It tells you it loves you in the beginning, but it ends up turning against you, and it becomes your worst enemy ever. So we don't want to just do stuff because it feels good or it's relieving in the moment, because it could be clogging the arteries and killing us. So if you're unaware, we can learn about nutrition. If it's that you're medicating yourself for a deep wound, we can resolve the wound, and then you don't have to do it anymore. Okay, so who do you turn to when there's a problem? Well, I think there's several people you can turn to. I don't think that if you've got a wound that just exercising is going to be the answer. It's going to help a lot, but I think we really need to have a counselor to work with us. I think it'd be great if we got into some kind of regular exercise program, join that gym, do something on a regular basis, at least 4 days a week, that you're moving your body and you're getting your heart rate up, getting metabolism up. And then it's so amazing that becomes kind of a source of relaxation and enjoyment. So you're not so desperate. You're not feeling so down in need of some kind of lift that maybe you've learned comes from eating. All right. Now, there's a phrase that I hate to hear, and it just never, ever is in the beginning of something that's good. And it's this phrase: all you have to do is this. There is no all you have to do, meaning you just do this one thing. You can't lose weight just by having salad at lunch. All you have to do is just have a salad at lunch. Yeah, you know what? I've seen people have a salad at lunch, and then it's like they're eating an entire buffet at dinner. So there's no all you have to do. In fact, you ought to think about that phrase in a different way. Look at all you have to do. And that's a multidisciplinary approach to dealing with it. My body needs to move. The food I eat needs to be healthy and whole, not junk, not full of sugar. I need to take care of the spiritual part of my life. And you know, when you are a spiritually motivated person or a person with a spiritual foundation, here's something that you end up with is a gratitude about life, a gratefulness to be alive. You want to preserve that life. You know, if you look out into the universe and you see billions of stars and billions of galaxies, and here's ours, and it's the only place that somebody is alive, a real live person is alive. And then you look at the United States of America, we're part of the 20% of the people that are born into a free government or society or culture. We've hit the jackpot. So we ought to take that life and want to make the best of that life and preserve it and strengthen it rather than just let it go or destroy it. Today, I was talking with a gentleman, and he said something to me it didn't really compute in the beginning. He said, well, when I was running marathons, I thought, man, this guy does not look like he's ever run a marathon. Because he was probably, I would say, 70 pounds overweight. It looked like that I might have my eye put out from one of his buttons popping off and hitting me in the eye. It was hard to concentrate because, don't move too much there or I may end up in trouble. And when he got up, well, it was a process. First, we got to push off here and we're pushing off over here. And I just thought, man, do I want to help this guy? But it was also a cautionary tale that no matter what you're doing today, how intense or whatever it is, if you're not planning on doing it tomorrow, it's not going to help you. That's why we need to find a way to eat that we can maintain and sustain ourselves over a lifetime. Exercise that we can do forever. A way truly to live and not to die. I did a program called Lose It for Life. There's a book. You could get it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Also, you could make a comment about this right here and let us know what you're thinking. Or you could call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, whatever you need to do. In the meantime, be sure you're not eating to change the way you feel, that you're eating to change the amount of strength that you have, the calories that you need to function. And one of the things I say to myself, let's eat so that we can think better, not feel better. Eat to think, not just to have a different way of feeling. Let's go deal with the misery, and then we don't have to consume so many calories and perhaps avoid that horrible state, that frustrating place to be called obesity.
It's hard to find a trusted friend when you're in crisis. Someone who's been there and understands, but who also has the training and skill to give you practical help. Family, friends, and churches want to help, but often they're not equipped to care for those dealing with problems like addiction and pornography, infidelity, anger, depression. New Life Ministries is here to provide help and hope in life's hardest places. We're not focused on making people feel better. We're focused on helping people do the work that will help them be better. At New Life, we have resources available to help you, like books, DVDs, CDs, workshops, and our network of licensed counselors. If you need help, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and begin your new life today. Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of Life Recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other Life Recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back. I hope that was helpful. Now remember, you're not eating to change the way you feel. You want to eat to think, and not just to have a different feeling, but deal with the misery so you don't need to eat. If you need help with that, I've got the Life Recovery Workbook on eating disorders, whether it's too much or too little. There's also a workbook on sexual integrity. And that's what's coming up next. On this segment, I want to talk to you about pornography. Now, pornography is, you can call it a problem. For many, it is an addiction, and it's affecting millions of people, not just men. The accessibility is making it available to young children, and it sets them up for a lifetime of struggle. But there's hope for recovery and a life free of pornography if you're willing to see it for what it is and make the bold move that's required so that you don't ever have to struggle again. Now, let's listen in about pornography. And the letter that we're dealing with today, of course, is the letter P. Now, I can't address any other topic when we're doing this unless it's pornography. Well, the second letter in pornography is O. But every word I'm going to give you to remember what to do about this little problem here starts with an H. And the first word is the word harm. A lot of times we get caught up in this, and especially in the beginning, and we think, well, what harm does it do? It's not harming anybody. But it really is. It's harming you, first of all, because it's teaching you that a woman is to be used by you, and that you don't need an emotional and spiritual and psychological connection in any kind of sexual experience. And so you're harming yourself because you're not going to be a very good partner. And you don't even know it when it's the problem that you have in connecting with a woman. Secondly, if you're married, of course, it's harming your wife. Many women, when they find out that their husband has been using pornography, they say, that's worse than an affair. And that doesn't mean you should go out and have an affair. But the point is that you're looking at all this stuff and she can never either do that or be that or look like that. And it just really is such an insult to be betrayed in that way. So there's a lot of harm. And of course, we know that men that really get into pornography are not very good sex partners. And in fact, you stop wanting to have sex with a woman. And we also know that the more you're into pornography, the more it harms your relationship and the more kind of angry and bitter and resentful you get of your wife. And if you're not married, all of this is going to become an issue in your marriage. And you might think, that, well, once I'm married, this will all go away. Boy, are you in for a shock. It does not go away. So how do we do something about this? Where do we start? Well, you really have to start with another word that starts with H, and that's the heart. What is it that's in your heart? You say love, but is it more duplicity? In other words, I have some feelings, but boy, I've got this other private life over here, and it's not very nice at all. So even though I say I'm loving or feel some love, actually, my heart is split right down the middle. Every adolescent and every young man, and many times it's never happened for grown men, your job is to integrate everything into a healthy, whole person. And so when we have a divided heart, often we might have everything all in place. Our intellect, our thinking, the spiritual world in which we live, and the beliefs that we have. And then way over here, split off from it all, is our sexuality. It's not integrated into the rest of us. It's this thing over here that we don't even talk about. We don't tell anybody about it. It's separate and it's sick. So we have to open up that box. We have to get the secret out. We have to confess, open up to somebody that can help us. And then we start to watch our heart become integrated together and whole. That's really the goal. We want to see people have a whole heart, not a split heart. Now, next word that starts with an H is habit. A lot of people think they have a bad habit, but you don't have a bad habit. You have an addiction. And this addiction is something that is far beyond anything many of us understand, because it's just as much an addiction as if you were shooting heroin into your veins. You see, because when you shoot heroin, there's a chemical that goes in you that releases chemicals in the brain that produce the high. Well, you know that those same kind of neurotransmitters and receptors and all that kind of stuff, that's happening with pornography. Now, when you use heroin, there's a big spike in dopamine based on the amount of heroin you're shooting through your veins. Pornography, it's not quite that high a spike. Well, that's good news or bad news? Well, it's bad news, because you don't know it's there so much, and so it just gradually goes from habit to addiction. With heroin, pretty much, early on, addiction. But with this habit, it becomes an addiction over time. Well, fortunately, there's another H word called hope. There's a lot of hope for anybody that's stuck in this pattern. And you got to ask yourself a question. Do you want to go through life being the dirty little boy looking at dirty pictures, waiting for your wife, did I say wife or mommy, to catch you? Or do you want to be a man? There is hope for manhood. But you need another H for that to happen. That's the healing community. Men become men in the company of men. Iron sharpens iron. So maybe the last thing you want to do is be with a group of men. But that healing community is what helps us go from having an extreme limitation that we'll never ever fix on our own to having the power to be sure this is not impacting any part of our life anymore. Now at New Life, we do a weekend called Every Man's Battle. And one of the greatest benefits is you go from thinking I'm the only one that's got this problem to really a shame-free place where everybody's dealing with the same thing, and there is a way out, and you do it together. And I think it's one of the most healing communities that's established. And I know guys that went 15 years ago, and every week they're still talking to the same people, and they're reporting back, and they're talking about struggles or victories, and they have an online or on the phone healing community. Some meet in groups together, and it's just an absolute phenomena to see this happening over such a long period of time. But they've realized, if I can have the strength, the insight, and the connection with other men, and that produces the kind of healing that I'm experiencing, then why wouldn't I do it if I could? If you never try it, if you never take a risk, if you never do it afraid, then you'll never do it, and you'll never get to experience that. It all comes down to this. It comes down to this word holiness. God didn't call us to do pretty well. He called us to be holy. What does that mean? It means we're set apart, we're different. And we can't do that on our own. We need the power of the Holy Spirit. We need to trust in God. We need to walk through this world the same way that Jesus walked through this world. And in the Old Testament, in those cultures, they treated women horribly. And then Jesus comes on the scene, and He honored women. He ministered with women. First two people that saw Him after He was resurrected were women. He honored, He loved women. And so we need to take that model and repeat it if we're going to be the men that God's called us to be. And here's what I think a lot of people have thought maybe it isn't possible anymore. Happiness. There's this word called joy, kind of like, well, we're feeling okay even though everything has been lost. We've still got this joy. So like, in spite of, we feel, but happiness is different. You know, happiness is this state of well-being and gratitude all folded into to some optimism about life and a lack of this deep, dark shame from a secret life that nobody knows about for now, or at least we don't think they know about it. That's where I want you to be happy. Now maybe you're a woman. Well, two things. This all applies to you too. And there was a time when people said women didn't get into pornography. Women were never sex addicts. Oh yes, they do now. And it's quite common, very common. And sometimes the man gets you into it, then he leaves. But there's hope for you. Also, you might be a woman married to a man who's struggling. You don't have the power to change that guy. And if you would call us, we'll tell you about how to get him to go to every man's battle, and that could be the beginning of a level of happiness you never thought possible in your marriage. Welcome back. You know, I really don't know how people that aren't believers make it. You can see that when you're going to recover, you need the power of the Holy Spirit in recovery. You need God's truth and all the things that happen when you join a life recovery group. Now, we're going to experience the life that God has for us until we get off on a trail that leads us down the wrong path. And what a great thing when we decide to backtrack, to turn around and go back. Many of us don't like to backtrack, and we just continue down that wrong road. And we never experience what God has planned for us. Well, God has great plans for you. He has great blessings for you. And those blessings can be experienced in receiving help and giving help, reaching out to other people. And if you need help or you want some ideas on how to help others, you call us. We're there, and we want to help every person on their journey to recover their lives. It's called life recovery. It's not addiction recovery. It's not any kind of recovery other than the life that you were given. And we love to talk about the fact that here's this one little ball with people on it. We haven't seen anybody anywhere else. It's a great gift. Don't you want to make the best of that great gift? I think you do. Hey, thanks for watching me. If you know somebody that might be interested in recovery, why don't you ask them to sit down with you or in their home and join me for Life Recovery. I will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today, where we believe your past doesn't have to define your future. If you're ready to take the next step, we're here to help with Bibles, workbooks, devotionals, and more. Visit newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Your journey to healing and freedom can start right now. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay courageous, and keep moving forward.